The sun rises over Shanghai, its light catching the steel and glass of the Pudong skyline. Towers like the Shanghai Tower and the Oriental Pearl pierce the morning haze, monuments to a future that arrived faster than anyone expected. Down below, in the shadow of these giants, life stirs at a different pace. In Fuxing Park, a group of retirees moves in slow, deliberate unison. They are practicing Tai Chi, their movements fluid and ancient, a tradition passed down through generations. Their silent grace is a stark contrast to the city's relentless hum. This is the daily reality of modern China. It is a place where the past is not a memory, but a living, breathing part of the present, existing side by side with a hyper-modern world. You see this duality everywhere you look. A grandfather, his face a map of wrinkles, carefully tends to his songbird in its ornate bamboo cage. He hangs it from a tree branch, listening to its melody. A few feet away, his granddaughter is completely absorbed in her smartphone. She is live-streaming her morning walk to hundreds of followers, her world mediated through a screen and a high-speed data connection. The old man watches the bird, the young woman watches her phone. They share the same park bench, the same morning air, but they inhabit different worlds that somehow manage to coexist in the same space. It is a quiet negotiation between eras, played out millions of times a day across the country. This blend is not always graceful. Sometimes it is jarring. You can walk down a narrow alley, a hutong, where grey brick courtyard homes have stood for centuries. The air smells of coal smoke and stir-fried garlic. Then you turn a corner and are confronted by a gleaming shopping mall. Inside, luxury brands from Paris and Milan are displayed under bright LED lights. Teenagers in designer sneakers sip on American-style coffee that costs more than a traditional lunch for a family of 4. The contrast is not just visual, it is economic and cultural. It shows a society in rapid transition, a place where different value systems are constantly bumping up against one another, creating a unique and sometimes bewildering social landscape. In cities like Beijing, the Forbidden City stands as a stoic reminder of imperial power, its yellow-tiled roofs a symbol of a dynastic past. Not far away, the headquarters of tech giants like Baidu and Tencent rise from the ground. These are the new empires built not of stone and wood, but of code and data. A food delivery driver on an electric scooter zips past a temple gate where incense smoke curls into the air. He is rushing to deliver an order placed on a mobile app, part of a vast logistics network that is a marvel of modern efficiency. The prayer at the temple and the order on the app are both expressions of a need, one spiritual, one material. In today's China, both can be fulfilled within the very same city block. To understand daily life in China, you must first understand the invisible forces that guide interactions. The most important of these is the concept of Meyonzi, or face. Face is not simply about reputation, it is a complex blend of honor, social standing, and personal dignity. It is a currency that can be given, saved, earned, or lost. Every social interaction, from a casual conversation to a major business deal, involves a delicate calculation of face. To cause someone to lose face by publicly criticizing them or embarrassing them is a serious social transgression. It can damage a relationship permanently. Giving someone face by praising them or showing them respect is a way to build goodwill and strengthen bonds. This concept shapes behavior in subtle but profound ways. An employee might not directly contradict their boss in a meeting, even if they know the boss is wrong. To do so would cause the boss to lose face in front of others. Instead, they might approach the boss privately later on or suggest an alternative in a more indirect way. At a dinner, the host will order far more food than can possibly be eaten. This is not wasteful in their view. It is a way of showing generosity and giving face to the guests. The guests, in turn, must make a show of refusing the last piece of a dish to give face back to the host by showing they are full and satisfied. It is a silent, choreographed dance of mutual respect. Closely related to face is Guanxi, which translates roughly to relationships or connections. Guanxi is the network of personal influence that people cultivate throughout their lives. It is a system of reciprocal obligation. If someone in your Guanxi network asks for a favor, you are expected to help, with the understanding that you can call on them for help in the future. This is not seen as corruption, but as the natural way things work. A strong Guanxi network can help you get a better job, find a good apartment, or navigate the complex bureaucracy. It is a form of social capital, built up over years of dinners, favors, and shared experiences. Without Guanxi, life in China can be much more difficult. In business, Guanxi is not just helpful, it is essential. Contracts and legal agreements are important, but many deals are ultimately sealed based on the strength of the personal relationship between the two parties. Business negotiations often begin not in a boardroom, but over a long and elaborate banquet. These dinners are not just about food and drink. They are about building trust and establishing Guanxi. A deal might be discussed for weeks or months, with progress measured not in signed documents, but in the growing warmth of the relationship. For foreigners, this can be frustrating. They want to get straight to business, but their Chinese counterparts are focused on building the relationship first. They understand that a deal with a stranger is risky, but a deal with a friend is secure. The first sound many people in China hear in the morning is not an alarm clock, but a notification from their smartphone. From that moment on, technology is a constant companion. Before even getting out of bed, a person might check WeChat, the ubiquitous super app that combines messaging, social media, and payments. They will read messages from friends, see updates in their social feed, and browse news articles pushed by various accounts. Breakfast might be ordered through a food delivery app like Meituan or la.me. A steaming bowl of noodles or a savory crepe can be at their door in under 30 minutes, paid for digitally with a quick scan of a QR code. Cash is becoming a relic. The entire urban economy runs on mobile payments. The commute to work is also deeply integrated with technology. People use apps to check real-time bus schedules, or to summon a Didi, China's version of Uber. On the subway, nearly every passenger is staring at their phone. They are not just idly scrolling, they are watching streaming dramas, playing online games, taking online courses, or managing their investments. The subway car is silent, but it is filled with a universe of digital activity. At the office, work is coordinated through messaging platforms like DingTalk or WeChat Work. Documents are shared in the cloud and meetings are often held via video conference, connecting teams across different cities. The line between personal and professional communication blurs on these platforms. Lunchtime is another flurry of digital activity. Colleagues use their phones to decide where to eat, browsing reviews and ratings. They will place a group order on an app, and one person will pay for everyone with their phone. The others will instantly transfer their share back to that person using WeChat Pay or Alipay. There is no fumbling for cash, no complicated math to split the bill. It is seamless and efficient. During the break, people might do some online shopping on Taobao or JD.com, two of the world's largest e-commerce platforms. They can buy anything from groceries to furniture, often with same-day or next-day delivery. This convenience has fundamentally changed consumer habits and the retail landscape. The evening brings no respite from the digital world. After work, a couple might decide to see a movie. They will select the film, choose their seats, and buy the tickets all on an app. At the theatre, they simply scan a QR code to enter. Dinner might be at a restaurant where a robot delivers the food to the table. After returning home, the family might gather, but their togetherness is often mediated by screens. Parents might be helping their child with homework submitted through an educational app, while also video chatting with grandparents who live in a distant province. Technology does not just make life more convenient, it has become the essential glue that holds the fabric of daily life together, connecting people and services in a vast, interconnected network. The family has always been the bedrock of Chinese society. The Confucian ideal of filial piety, the duty of children to respect and care for their parents, has shaped family dynamics for centuries. This tradition remains strong, but it is being reshaped by the forces of modern life. In the past, multiple generations often lived under one roof. Children were expected to care for their aging parents directly. Today, mass urbanization has changed this. Millions of young people have left their rural hometowns to seek work in the cities, leaving their parents and sometimes their own children behind. This geographic separation has created new challenges for maintaining family bonds. Technology has stepped in to fill this gap. The video call has become an essential ritual in many families. Every evening, a young professional in Shenzhen might call her parents in a small village in Sichuan. She can see their faces, ask about their health, and show them her new apartment. It is not the same as being there in person, but it provides a vital connection. Grandparents watch their grandchildren grow up through photos and short videos shared on WeChat. These digital interactions have become a new form of filial piety. It is a way for children to show they care and are thinking of their parents, even from hundreds of miles away. The traditional red envelopes of money given during Chinese New Year are now sent digitally as red packets on WeChat. Despite these changes, the core obligations of family remain. The pressure on children, especially only children, to support their parents in retirement is immense, with a rapidly aging population and a social safety net that is still developing. The financial and emotional burden falls heavily on the younger generation. Many young people work long hours to save money not just for their own future, but for their parents' healthcare and living expenses. This pressure shapes major life decisions such as career choices, where to live and when to get married. The expectation to marry and produce a grandchild, a successor, is still a powerful social force. The structure of the family itself is also evolving. The one-child policy, which was in place for decades, created a generation of little emperors who grew up without siblings. Now, as the government encourages families to have more children to counter the aging population, new dynamics are emerging. But attitudes have changed. The high cost of education and housing in cities makes many young couples reluctant to have more than one child, or any children at all. The traditional family model is colliding with modern economic realities and a growing sense of individualism. The Chinese family is in a state of flux, trying to honor ancient traditions while navigating the complexities of the 21st century. The business world in China is a place of relentless energy and fierce competition. The pace is breathtaking. Companies can go from a small startup to a billion-dollar enterprise in just a few years. This China speed is driven by a deep-seated ambition and a huge, digitally savvy domestic market. Innovation is no longer about copying Western products. Chinese companies are now global leaders in areas like e-commerce, mobile payments, artificial intelligence, and renewable energy. Firms like Huawei, Alibaba, and Tencent are not just competing with their Silicon Valley rivals, they are often defining the future of technology. This creates an environment where everyone is constantly striving to get ahead. However, this dynamic market is not a free-for-all. The government plays a significant and active role in the economy. It sets strategic priorities, guiding investment into key sectors like semiconductors and biotechnology. State-owned enterprises still dominate major industries like banking, energy, and telecommunications. For private companies, navigating the relationship with the government is crucial. Success often depends not just on a good business model, but also on being aligned with national policy goals. This creates a complex landscape for both local entrepreneurs and foreign companies. The rules can be opaque, and the playing field is not always level. For foreigners trying to do business in China, the challenges are numerous. They must contend with cultural differences, such as the importance of Guanxi and face. They face intense competition from local companies that have a better understanding of the domestic market and often have closer relationships with local authorities. There are also regulatory hurdles and concerns about intellectual property protection. Despite these difficulties, the lure of the Chinese market remains irresistible. With over 1 billion consumers and a rapidly growing middle class, it represents the single greatest growth opportunity in the world for many international brands. Success requires patience, adaptability, and a deep commitment to understanding the local context. China's economic rise has been one of the most significant global stories of the past 4 decades. It has lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and transformed the country from a low-cost manufacturing hub into a sophisticated economic superpower. The Made in China label, once associated with cheap toys and textiles, is now found on high-end smartphones and electric vehicles. Chinese brands are no longer just competing on price. They are competing on quality and innovation. This shift is challenging the long-standing dominance of Western and Japanese corporations and is fundamentally reordering the global economic landscape. The world is no longer just selling to China, it is increasingly buying from China. In the past 40 years, China has undergone the largest and fastest urbanization in human history. Hundreds of millions of people have moved from the countryside to the cities, drawn by the promise of jobs and a better life. This mass migration has fueled the country's economic miracle, providing the labor needed to build the factories, skyscrapers, and infrastructure of modern China. It has transformed the physical landscape, turning small towns into sprawling megacities of 10 or 20 million people. This process has created immense wealth and opportunity, but it has also brought significant social and demographic challenges that the country is now grappling with. One of the most profound consequences of this shift is the demographic strain caused by the one-child policy, which was in effect from 1979 to 2015. This policy successfully slowed population growth, but it has left China with a rapidly aging population and a shrinking workforce. There are now fewer young workers to support a growing number of retirees. This demographic imbalance puts immense pressure on the nation's pension and healthcare systems. It also places a heavy burden on the generation of only children, who may find themselves responsible for the care of 2 parents and 4 grandparents. The government has now relaxed the policy, but reversing the demographic trend will be a slow and difficult process. The urbanization process has also created a deep social divide. The hukou, or household registration system, ties citizens to their place of birth. Migrant workers who move to the cities often do not have an urban hukou. This means they have limited access to public services like education, healthcare, and subsidized housing in the city where they live and work. Their children may have to attend poorly funded schools for migrants or be left behind in their home village to be raised by grandparents. This system has created a 2-tiered society within the cities, with official urban residents enjoying far more rights and benefits than the migrant population that powers the urban economy. This great migration is changing the very fabric of Chinese society. As people move to cities, they are exposed to new ideas, lifestyles, and consumer habits. Traditional, community-oriented rural values are giving way to the more individualistic and fast-paced culture of the metropolis. The anonymity of the city offers more freedom, but it can also lead to a sense of alienation and a loss of the tight-knit social support networks found in villages. China is a nation of people on the move, a society in transition between its rural past and its urban future. The country's ability to manage this transition and integrate its vast migrant population will be a key determinant of its future stability and prosperity. In China, you cannot separate daily life from the presence of the Communist Party. Its influence is not always overt, but it is pervasive, shaping everything from the news people read to the opportunities available to them. The party sets the country's direction, both politically and economically. Its goals and priorities trickle down through every level of government and society, influencing business decisions, school curricula, and even public art. For most citizens, this is simply a fact of life. They may not be active party members, but they understand the system and know how to operate within its boundaries. Political stability is seen as a prerequisite for economic prosperity, a bargain that many people are willing to accept. The party's influence is most visible in the control of information. The internet is heavily filtered, a system often referred to as the Great Firewall. Access to foreign websites like Google, Facebook, and Twitter is blocked. Domestic media is tightly controlled, and news outlets are expected to follow the party line. This creates an information environment that is very different from that in the West. While people are not isolated, they are incredibly well connected within the Chinese internet. The narrative they receive is carefully curated. National successes are highlighted, while social problems or criticism of the government are downplayed or censored. This shapes public opinion and fosters a strong sense of national pride and unity. This control extends beyond media into civil society. The space for independent organizations, from labor unions to environmental groups, is limited. The party sees such groups as potential challenges to its authority. Instead, it promotes its own affiliated organizations to address social issues. This top-down approach is also evident in community management. Neighborhood committees, which are the lowest level of party organization, play a role in everything from enforcing sanitation rules to mediating disputes between neighbors. During the recent pandemic, this system of social control was on full display as neighborhood committees were mobilized to enforce lockdowns and track residents' movements. Yet to see the Chinese people as simply passive subjects of the party is to misunderstand the country. There is a complex ongoing negotiation between the state and the individual. People are pragmatic. They focus on what they can control, their family, their career, and their personal wealth. They have embraced the opportunities of the market economy with incredible energy and creativity. The result is a society full of contradictions. It is a place of immense personal freedom in the economic and consumer spheres, but limited freedom in the political sphere. This unique balance between a dynamic, entrepreneurial society and a powerful, authoritarian state is what makes modern China one of the most complex and fascinating places on Earth.